The year is 1300, and you are standing before the largest city in the Christian world. Larger than London, larger than Rome, larger than Constantinople. 200,000 souls packed behind these walls. No city in Europe even comes close. The walls of Philippe Auguste rise 9 meters above you. Limestone pulled from quarries beneath the city itself. The same tunnels that will one day become the catacombs. Look closely at the stones. You can see the marks each mason carved to prove his work. He was paid by the piece. 77 towers watch over Paris, and 4 of them guard the Seine with iron chains stretched across the water. At night, this river is locked shut, but now, at dawn, the gates groan open. Carts from the countryside roll in on freshly paved roads. Farmers, merchants, pilgrims, all funneling through narrow arches under the watchful eyes of the guards. If you are not a member of a guild, you do not enter. The haves are sealed within. The have-nots are locked outside. And somewhere behind these walls, a fortress stands that even the king cannot enter. The Seine is not just a river, it is the highway that feeds Paris. Every port along its banks has a purpose. One for wine, one for timber, one for hay, one for fish. The Guild of Water Merchants is so powerful that their seal has become the seal of the city itself. A ship on the waves. It still is today. And across this river, people live on the bridges, not beside them, on them. Houses rise 3-4 stories high on both sides, with shops and workshops crammed between them. Under the arches, grain mills turn with the current. The bread of Paris is literally ground by the Seine, but this same water carries the waste of 200,000 people. Blood from the butchers, chemicals from the tanners, and worse. Only 3 public fountains exist for the entire city. The wealthy have private wells. Everyone else drinks from the river. 55 registered water porters make their living carrying clean water through these streets, and 26 public baths try to keep Paris clean. They are fighting a losing battle. Follow the noise, and you will find Les Halles. The central market has been here since 1137, and by 1300, it is the beating heart of Parisian commerce. 100 guilds, 1,300 distinct professions, all of it catalogued in the Book of Trades, the first attempt to regulate an entire city's economy. Street merchants shout to attract your attention. The law forbids them from stealing customers already standing before another stall, or from criticizing a competitor's goods. 24 official town criers have the power to silence the entire street when they speak, and the smells, fish, livestock, sweat, spices from the Orient, all crashing together in a wall of sensation. But turn your head, and you will see something strange. Right next to the market, enclosed behind a 3-meter wall, lies the Cemetery of the Innocents, the oldest and largest burial ground in Paris. 22 parishes send their dead here, along with the drowned pulled from the Seine and the nameless bodies found in the streets. When the mass graves are full, the bones are dug up, the remaining flesh burned off, and the skulls stacked in open galleries around the edges. Merchants set up shop beneath these galleries. The living buy and sell under arches filled with the bones of the dead. And no one seems to mind. Now cross to the island at the center of it all. The Ile de la Cité is where God and the King share the same ground. Notre-Dame rises before you, but forget the blackened monument you know. In 1300, this cathedral is almost new. The limestone is white, blindingly white, and it catches the midday sun like a second source of light. Inside, the great rose windows flood the nave with blue and red. That blue comes from lapis lazuli, a stone carried all the way from Afghanistan. The color of heaven, imported from the edge of the known world. And just a few steps away, hidden within the royal palace, stands the Sainte-Chapelle, built in only 7 years by King Louis IX to house the crown of thorns, a relic he purchased for 3 times the cost of the chapel itself. 15 stained glass windows, each 15 meters tall, over 1,000 individual panels. When the sun enters this space, the walls seem to dissolve entirely. You are no longer inside a building. You are standing inside light itself. 1 in 10 Parisians belongs to the church. 20,000 monks, nuns, students in holy orders, priests and canons. 88 convents and monasteries, 33 parish churches, each with its own bell, its own rhythm, its own voice. Together, they tell Paris what time it is, because in 1300, the first mechanical clock has only just appeared. Cross the Petit Pont to the left bank, and you enter a different world. This is the Latin Quarter, named not for its history, but for its language. Every student here is required to speak Latin, even outside the classroom. Those who are caught speaking French are reported by informants called wolves. The University of Paris is the intellectual capital of Europe. Scholars from England, Germany, Italy, and beyond have traveled here to study under masters who teach Aristotle, theology, medicine, and law. In the Rue du Fouard, the street of straw, students sit on the ground and listen. Books are far too expensive. Everything is oral. And the core skill is not memorization, it is debate. The ability to build an argument and destroy one. These students are also violent, drunk, and dangerous. In 1200, a tavern brawl between students and townspeople left 5 dead and forced the king to intervene. In 1229, the entire university went on strike for 2 years after royal guards killed several students. The Pope himself had to grant the university its independence, a document scholars call its Magna Carta. Here, you can debate any subject and defend any position. It is the most intellectually free place on earth, and the most chaotic. Every street in Paris has a name, a smell, and a sound. The street of the butchers runs red with blood draining toward the Seine. The tanner's quarter reeks of chemicals and rotting hides. The street of the parchment makers near Saint-Severin smells of scraped animal skin and ink made from oak galls. Each workshop opens directly onto the street through a wooden shutter that folds down into a sales counter. The craftsman works in full view. His mark is stamped on every product. Medieval traceability. A new master is forbidden from setting up shop on the same street as his former master, and each guild cares for its own, the sick, the widows, the orphans. The leftover meat from their banquets goes to the hospitals. Chamber pots are emptied from upper windows onto the streets below. The smell of unwashed bodies, animal waste, and open sewage is everywhere. It is one of the reasons a future king will eventually abandon this city center entirely. And now, the fortress the king cannot enter. The Enclos du Temple sits on the eastern edge of Paris, behind its own walls, under its own laws, guarded by its own army. The Knights Templar have been here since 1139, and by 1300, they are the most powerful financial institution in Europe. A pilgrim can deposit money in Paris and withdraw it in Jerusalem. They have invented banking. In 1306, a popular riot will force King Philippe to take refuge here, and inside these walls, he will see their wealth with his own eyes. 1 year later, on a Friday the 13th, the origin of the superstition, he will order the arrest of every Templar in France. They will be tortured, burned, destroyed. Their Grand Master, Jacques de Molay, will be burned alive on an island in the Seine in full view of the royal palace. From the flames, he will curse the king and the pope. Both will be dead within the year. But today, in 1300, none of this has happened yet. The white mantles and red crosses move through the streets in silence. The fortress stands untouched. The treasure is still inside. The man who will destroy the Templars is watching from the palace on the Ile de la Cité. Philippe IV, Philippe the Fair, the most handsome king in Europe and the most dangerous. His enemies call him the Iron King. A bishop who opposed him said, "He is neither man nor beast. He is a statue. He has built the largest Gothic hall in Europe, 1,800 square meters of vaulted stone, and he has sent his agent to physically strike the Pope in his own palace." The old pontiff, 68 years old, alone in his ceremonial robes, lowered his head and said, "Here is my head, here is my neck. At least I shall die as Pope." Philippe rules the most populous and wealthiest kingdom in Christendom. He has convened the First Estates General. He has expelled every Jewish person from France. He answers to no one, not the nobility, not the church, not Rome. Dante will call him the plague of France. In 1300, he is at the height of his power. And he does not know that a curse spoken from a burning stake will follow him to his grave. The bells ring the curfew. 7 in winter, 8 in summer. The word itself is French, couvre-feu, cover the fire, and Paris goes dark. In the entire city, there are exactly 3 public lanterns, one at the Châtelet fortress, one at the Tour de Nesle for the boatmen, and one at the Cemetery of the Innocents, so that passers-by will remember to pray for the dead. The only permanent light in Paris exists to remind you of death. The tavern is the last refuge. Behind its heavy door, candles flicker, wine flows, dice roll, and voices rise. Students argue philosophy, merchants close deals, soldiers drink in silence. Outside, the streets belong to darkness and to those who thrive in it. The gates close. The chains descend across the Seine. Smoke from 10,000 hearths rises into the night sky. Look at this city one last time. Notre-Dame, still white, catches the last light of the sky. The towers of the wall stand black against the horizon. The Seine flows quietly beneath its bridges. This is Paris at its absolute peak, the richest, the most powerful, the most brilliant city in the Western world. And no one standing here tonight knows what is coming. In 7 years, the Templars will burn. In 14, the king will be dead. Cursed, they will say, by the last words of a man he fed to the flames. In 28 years, the dynasty that built everything you see will end forever. In 48 years, the Black Death will empty these streets. But tonight, none of that exists. Tonight, Paris is eternal.